Hello, and welcome to this important message from the Kingdom of Sanctimonia. As a micronation with aspirations of becoming something much greater, we understand the complexities surrounding nationalism and the need to address this topic thoughtfully. Nationalism, in its most basic form, is a sense of loyalty and devotion to one's nation. It can foster unity, pride, and a shared sense of identity among citizens. In the Kingdom of Sanctimonia, we embraced a soft nationalism, encouraging loyalty to our ruler and our country while emphasizing the importance of inclusivity and respect for all individuals. However, we must also acknowledge that nationalism, when taken to extremes, can lead to harmful ideologies and actions. History has shown us the devastating consequences of unchecked nationalism, such as discrimination, oppression, genocide, etc. It is crucial that we, since we will be a global community in the future, condemn these vile manifestations of nationalism and work together to prevent their spread. In the Kingdom of Sanctimonia, we believe in striking a balance. We celebrate our unique identity in the bonds that unite us as a nation, but we also recognize the value of diversity and the need for cooperation with other nations. Our soft nationalism is rooted in a commitment to the well-being of our people and a desire to contribute positively to the world around us. As we move forward in our journey to become so much more, we pledge to lead by example. We will promote a nationalism that is inclusive, respectful, focused on the common good. We will engage in open dialogue with other communities, learning from their experiences and sharing our own insights. To our fellow Micronations and the international community, we extend an invitation to join us in this endeavor. Let us work together to create a world where nationalism serves as a force for unity and progress, rather than division and hatred. Thank you for listening to this message from the Kingdom of Sanctimonia. Together, we can build a future where nationalism is a positive force, guided by wisdom, compassion, and a shared commitment to the betterment of all humanity.
This is not the end. Let me just go on a different tangent for a little while. The nationalism that we saw in Hitlerite Germany was a fanatical, sort of angry, unstable movement, right? But there are forms of nationalism which are stable, which are more calm, which ensure that society lives beyond, just 2 decades. There are forms of nationalism that actually work. And that's what people misrepresent. Communism, despite it being a hodgepodge of nonsense and emotional ideals and all of this, it's still coherent. It still has a message. Marx and Engels came up with ideas. Lenin was the great savior. Then you have all the prophets of communism, such as Stalin, Castro, Che Guevara, and the rest of them. It's still coherent. Hitlerite Germany, it didn't even make any sense. What were they fighting for? Ethnic superiority? Ethos of the past, 5,000 years ago, when Indo-Europeans were riding horses and raiding villages? Is that what they were aspiring to? I want all of you to think about this. Nationalism praises itself, but at the same time, it praises the individual. One is all, and all is one. The individual is the society. The society is representative of the individual and his mental faculties, his own reason. The point of society is to protect and guide the individual. That's the reason we have societies. That's the reason society is different now than it was 500 years ago, when men and women were much less educated and much less knowledgeable. That's the point of society. And what is nationalism of itself? As we said, it's the devotion to your own society above all other societies. It's patriotism. That's what it is. There are bitter weeds, as Winston Churchill said, among us when it comes to these sorts of topics. People think it would be better to be a hyper-liberal society than even have a twinge of nationalism injected into them. Of course, that's ridiculous. It's absurd. But then you may ask, how can we truly advance? Here's how. I want all of you to be creative, to think outside of the box, to not fit into the mold that the societies around you, the macro societies around you, put you into. Secondly, I want each of you to get skills in the real world, not just on social media, not just on Discord, not just on YouTube, not just on Twitch, or whatever you are on. Skills in the real world. If that means you'll go in a certain way of schooling, go in that way of schooling. If you'll become an engineer, become an engineer. Architect, become an architect. All that you have in common is that all of you believe in me. You believe in my message. That's the reason you subscribe to me. That's the reason you took the citizenship application in the first place. Because you believe in the message which Sanctimonia brings you. Sanctimonia, the facetiousness of piety, of sanctity. That's why I named it the way it was. Calls itself so moral, but isn't so moral. Not everything is black and white. And I know that when I made it, in 2020, we never thought this far. We never had the visions and these philosophies and all of this. We made it as a joke, to be honest. Our national anthem is representative of that. It served its purpose for the first 2 years of our existence, but now it needs to change. Things need to change. You guys need to take life seriously. We don't have 260 people following us for no reason. You might make the argument that we're just a hodgepodge of our own ideolations and visualizations, but at least we're coherent. There is a man who rules, a king who rules over a group of people in an absolute monarchy. That is pretty socially liberal. That is pretty tolerant of other religions and philosophies and beliefs and customs. And that's perfectly fine. That's the way it should be in the first place. What it should not be is fanatical. What it should not be is destroy and raid and kill everyone who's not us. No, that's not what being a Sanctimonian is. And if you have those ideas in your head, you can leave immediately. I will not tolerate that. And all in all, this was not even just made in 2020. This was in the collective consciousness of all of us. It was. The future is pulling us right now into which direction we have to go. You're right. The palaces, the towers, the temples, the statues, all of that are not created yet. But they're all in the mental plane. They're all here in the imagination. The imagination of me, my assistants, and all of you. All of you have the capacity of it. All of you are creative people. All of you are imaginative people. All of you are pretty intelligent people. No one who had half a brain would even be able to interact with this sort of content. They just wouldn't see it. It would be like if you're a bird and you're going into class, you just don't see it. You cannot process it. You do not have the faculties to process it. So all of you are smart. All of you are creative. I honestly don't know if any of you are hard workers. You need to have that ethos in you, that fire blood. Remember who you're working for. Remember what you are working for. Remember the dreams and hopes of all your ancestors. The culmination of basically all of history. I do not rule purely because I made it up. I rule because plenty other reasons, which frankly, I won't talk about here. And you should be impressed that I even talk to you about these things. If I talk to you about these things, imagine what I talk about with other people without the camera. These are the sorts of questions I want you to ask. Just know all of this. I love all of you. Sometimes all of you are confused, but we need to acquire skills in the real world. Paradoxically, work on things not just in Sanctimonia so that Sanctimonia can be improved. That is the purpose. That is the strength and virility of imagination, of infinity. That's it for now. Goodbye, my fellow Sanctimonians, Sanctimoniites, holier than thous, and, well, normal people, because ultimately we're going to be a global sensation, and normal people are going to be a part of this. Normal, everyday people. The world will change very, very soon. Very, very soon, and very, very drastically. And I know that with all of your support, we will outshine Mr. Beast and the Paul brothers and all of them. Whether it's on YouTube or on a news cable station. We will become what we were meant to be, because that is our destiny.